Alright, so you guys remember this thing? We replaced the TIPM, fixed a bunch of wiring, and what I have found, this thing had a pretty nasty parasitic draw before, and this thing's been sitting since, I believe, Sunday, which there's definitely some issues with moisture getting in this truck. You guys can see the whole instrument cluster's got moisture on it. But, you'll see, it fires right up. So that tells me we have fixed the parasitic draw. The batteries were getting drained. They were down low at 5 volts, which that's how you know you have a parasitic draw. If they were like 10, 12, something like that, like low, you know, it's just normal battery drain, but they were down to 5, so something was sucking that down. So she fires right up. All right, so hours later, you guys will notice all the wiring on the ground. So being that this is a 12-valve swap, there is no need for a lot of the wiring. Now on my truck, I ended up cutting wires. On this truck, we made it so that any of the wires that I took out were able to repin them. So I have the wiring diagram for the PCM for the 05s. So basically, instead of cutting wires, we made sure that every wire down there is reusable. So in case you ever want to go back to a common rail, you just have to repin the PCM. So this is a lot nicer of a design. I like how this is put on the top. I'll definitely have to keep that in mind for future, and then pull the PCM out and kind of like seeing this, we can definitely do a nicer job. But I have spent the last hours going through everything, pulling every wire out under the hood. So we are at the point, every wire under the hood is perfect. It might not, I don't know what your guys' opinions are actually. If I step back and like you see it, like, yeah, it sucks that the PCM's on the top and it's all like right there in your face, but what else can you really do? So this is the only wire here that we have to lengthen. This is for the oil pressure. We have the coolant temp sensor all hooked up. The harness actually reached. So there's all that. But at the end of the day, and you can see like all this stuff. So this is, these are the pins that go inside. So like all of the connectors that we're not using, the only thing is the AC pressure switch is the only thing. You guys will see the 2 wires there. So I can order 2 pigtails, just like these. So I'm not going to cut this harness, but I need to order 2 pigtails that will allow me to put these back in the factory location. So I just need to put the those 2 in a factory spot. Unfortunately, they're not directs. So we just cut the wire there, and then you'll be able to splice them in later if ever decided to go back. Once you go to a 12-valve swap, I mean, I don't know many people that have ever gone back to a common rail. Everything under the hood is taken care of, and we're still finding that we have that no bus issue. And then with no bus, there come the headlights, everything turns on, but we still have turn signals. So we fixed all that. Funny enough, that 4-wire connector that I fixed here is not actually something that is required. So it turns out that is not actually what fixed the turn signals. I did that at the same time I did the PCM and just assumed that fixed the turn signals. It did not. The 4 wires in there ran across to a sensor that the 12-valve does not physically use. So it's not perfect. Like you can see, like there's corrosion and stuff on some of these wires, but that's not causing our no bus issue. Now that everything under here is taken care of, we need to move under the dash. So what I've kind of noticed is there's definitely a leak in here. You can see how these are like kind of, they look like they were moist. So the windshield, the cluster, everything on it had moisture in it when I came under here this morning. Also, I need to tighten that bolt for some reason. You guys see that? That bolt's loose for some reason, like very loose. So I just need to remember to tighten that up. That's some sketchy. So I guess the 05s don't have an electronic pedal. So this looks like it's a pedal for an 04. So this does not get plugged into anything. I've already cleaned out the bulkhead here, and we've already checked. There is no power, or like there's 1 volt to the bus positive. So that's not, it's weird. So down here's a positive, and then the bus positive. I put my probes across those 2, and it gave me 12 volts. So I don't know what the stipulations are for that to actually work and be proper, but that's supposed to be 12 volts right there, and that's supposed to be 12 volts, and that's supposed to be a ground, and then there's 2 grounds right there. Somewhere along the lines, there's some wiring issue, and who knows, maybe it's in the dash. I guess this truck did sit for a year before the swap was done, but it was in a nice shop. So it's not like it was outside in the elements, and it was a perfectly running driving truck before. I don't know what happened at the engine. I'm gonna be back here tomorrow. Hopefully in this video we figure this thing out and we get rid of all of the issues at hand. Like I was saying, I mean, this thing runs, drives, everything's flawless with the drivetrain, but the engine itself, or like the electronics themselves, are not okay. All right, so here's all the harnesses. Like I was saying, they're all reusable. There was, I believe, 1 or 2 that actually needed to be cut because like certain wires needed to be respliced back in. The AC was one of them, and then the pressure switch right here is also one of them. So we'll have to pin those separately outside of the harness. So yeah, we'll just be able to relocate them right in there. Not a big deal. And then I was saying, it's all reusable. Put everything back here that way, just in case. And then there's one sensor. So this wire here, this is a ground for a bunch of them that is not going to be needed. And then there was also the AC connector. That wire was cut before I did this job, so they were spliced into the alternator and cut that, which is fine. That's how I've done it on all of mine. Here's the rest of the harnesses, like the clutch fan and the FCA, fuel control actuator. All that stuff's done. It's a lot neater. Like I was saying, it sucks that everything is on the top. I like it, but I like at the same time I don't. Like, it's just kind of in your face. But if you're going to use factory valve covers, this is awesome. I do like this. Could have maybe, you know, mounted it. Well, I don't know where else you'd mount it, because I mean, I guess if you put it over here, it's in the heat. So definitely works out. You can't use the factory location to mount the PCM like you can on a common rail, because there's a pressure sensor there, the P pump gets in the way, and the line here gets in the way. So once we get this bus issue figured out, we will be tackling that fuel line you can see right there. That's where it'll be sucking in air between all of that, and that's why the truck wants to shut off and it loses its prime and shit, because it's pulling in air. So we'll get that taken care of at some point, but in the meantime, done for the day. I'm gonna get my mess cleaned up, and then we'll come back in here and tackle this tomorrow. I'm trying this is a PCM from an 05. We're gonna come over here. We've already verified everything works, so look at that. Everything works now. Low wash, lamp out, all that stuff works. Now the gauges aren't working yet. I don't know if the voltage gauge isn't hooked up. The fuel gauge is not working at all, but we have everything works. Oh, we have high beams. Radio works now. This works. Whereas before the headlights did not work. The headlights now work. Don't have marker lights, but headlights work. So everything works like it should. Like you can see how it dims now. So I'm gonna go plug in the old PCM and show you the issues that are pertaining to that. Also, we do have lights in here. Cargo light, all that stuff works. I'll plug the other one in and show you guys what happens. All right, so I plugged the factory one back in so you guys can see, no funny business. I'm gonna turn the headlights on. No headlights. No headlights at all. Okay. Turn that off. Turn the key on. You can see how there's no lines right. Yep, no bus. And the turn signals. We do not have turn signals with the old PCM as well. I didn't know that. I thought that issue was fixed. Apparently it's not. 4 ways. Don't even have 4 ways. Now the headlights come on with the key on power. See how the headlights are off? So the radio and all this stuff works, so that's fine. But you guys can see, look at this. Like, it doesn't matter. The headlights are just permanently on with the no bus. See the difference? They like, yeah, so verified that. The no bus issue is fixed with the new PCM. That's 2 different electronic components that we've had issues with. The old TIPM was kind of messed up. There was some issues with that, and now a PCM. But the gauges still don't seem to be working with the new PCM. Electrical issues suck. So I got the new PCM mounted. I put the old one back in here. Not that it's worth anything, but if he needs to reprogram the new one, I have it sitting here. This one's bad. I'm wondering if, my dad said the same thing. I wonder if someone tried to jump start it backwards or something, or like just messed up, or maybe put 24 volts to it and just fried everything. Cause like even the gauges, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go grab an instrument cluster. I'm gonna wait, he's gonna be test driving the new Ram. He just got that running. But like, look at that. Everything works now. Headlights, all that shit. The turn signal, see how it flashes fast? That's because none of this is hooked up. With the old PCM, that would flash normal. But also with the TIPM, we were having a parasitic draw issue with the TIPM. So once I fixed that, once we replaced the TIPM, now the batteries magically stay charged. I did kind of kill them a little bit, so I did have to put a jump pack on them because I was cranking for like ever. So they're definitely weak, but they held a charge from Sunday all the way till like Thursday. While hooked up, mind you. I'm gonna go grab an instrument cluster and see if that's the deal with this. Like, I'm wondering if something just fried everything. I don't know. I'm gonna go back, check the fuses, see why we don't have, I don't know why the marker bulbs aren't working up here. But these are aftermarket lights, so I don't know what the deal is with them, but I don't know if that bulb's blown in there, but the turn signals do work now. All right, so here's the dilemma, right? So I just wanted to check the instrument cluster, so I went and used one of my used ones, but it didn't fix any issues. We still don't have a fuel gauge or voltage. Even if we don't have the engine running, those two should be working in general. So we have an issue somewhere. Now, here's the other thing. We have communication, we have PCM works, all that bullshit, everything works up here. So we're trying to fix the obvious and all that stuff, like I was saying earlier, TIPM, ECU, that stuff's easy. So maybe what ended up happening with all the wires like bare and exposed like that and then touching, possibly could have burnt the ECU out, who knows, no idea why that's not working, but a lot of stuff was not working with the PCM. Now that we have all this shit working, we'll be able to wire this up. I'm gonna get the tone ring and sensor, all that shit close. I'll show you guys. Show you guys this trick. I don't know how many people know you can do this, but if you hold this button here, I'm gonna set you guys there so I can two-hand this. Hit this button, turn the key on, then the thing will go through its... Now, I don't like how the tack moves, because the other one moves a lot smoother, but watch the tack. Like, all the gauges work, but the tack's a little jumpy, so not a big deal. But we do have a couple chassis codes. The other instrument cluster gives me different ones. I mean, at this point, like, the gauges themselves work, but then they go back down all the way. So we need to figure that out. Always gonna have a check engine light. That's just gonna, it's a 12 valve. But yeah, there's definitely fuel in it, like, but the shit's down to 0. So, but the low wash and lamp out light were not coming on before. All right, so it's been a couple of days. I got the batteries charged back up because I kind of killed them, but they've been sitting so long, so they needed good charge. You guys saw PCM was replaced, TIPM was replaced. This got rid of the parasitic draw. These didn't go below like 11 volts, but I was cranking on them for a good while. And then that fixed all the other electrical issues. Now the two things, we need to start working on the flatbed and getting these gauges to work. I did try another instrument cluster just to try it, to see, just to rule it out, and it did not fix the problem. You guys saw Bring it back. We have everything now, the low wash, the lamp out, like all the lights work. You can see everything works as normal. So we know we had the PCM problem. It was duplicatable. I threw his back in here just in case he wants to go get it rebuilt, resell it, whatever. But this PCM is definitely fried. I did pull out this wire, like any wiring that's not hooked to anything, we also pulled out. So you guys will see like the EGT gauge right here. I just kind of have it sitting up here. Everything in the main harness was gone through all of the wires that were broken. Like I said, there was 14 of them. Just need to extend this guy here. That's for oil pressure. So we'll extend that, get a new sensor, all that. But it doesn't help us when on the gauges is working in general. So before we hook the sensor up and get all that working, I want to at least know that we have the fuel gauge working and the voltage gauge working, because those two should at least come up in general. Like the second I turn this on, which I'll do here, second I turn this on, that fuel gauge should go where it needs to go. And this should at least be reading something. And it is not. That's our dilemma. So let me know what you guys think. I go saying all the wiring up there in the engine bay has been taken care of, but down here, underneath everything, I don't know if any of the wiring under here would be causing any issues. We've already gone through and checked the bulkhead, made sure that was all good. Everything connects now, but it's still not reading. Got rid of that no bus issue on the cluster, but still no readings. That's just for the electronic throttle pedal, so that's just chilling. It was converted to an 04 style with the pull cable. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at some point I'll have to start breaking these wires apart and checking it out, but I'm gonna try to get the flatbed taken care of. I don't see anything obvious, but there is a ton of wires under here. So let me know what you guys think that might be. We're gonna get under here to this mess, which everything under here looks pretty good. I can see that harness is cut open for some reason, but you can see everything kind of goes in there. I need to figure out where all of these go. Figure all this stuff out. See if we can't get the back lights to work. I noticed a lot of these wires are here cut, but flatbed should be a plug and play, and that's not working either. You can see the 4-wire connector here. There's a connector back here. Yeah. We should have lights back here, and we don't for some reason. Here's a connector for the factory tail lights. And there should be another one over there somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. So, but those should be eliminated because everything's going off of this harness here, and then jumps into that, comes out to this, then that plugs into the 7-way, that goes back, runs all the way up to this 7-way here for the gooseneck. Very clean, good design, but nothing is working. So, testing relays. This one's bad. Park lamp relay. So that bulb's out. This bulb works. 2 of the cab lights work. And still nothing on the flatbed. We're trying. And flatbed lights. But now we can hear the relay kick on, so we have marker lights. So now we'll go through, check fuses again now that I put that in there, see if I blew any fuses, because no power's getting to the trailer output back there. So we're gonna go through, ignore the dinging, and replace the obvious. Here's this screw. A lot of rust and corrosion coming out of the top of these, but I think the connectors are probably just backwards on these. So I'm gonna pull this out. And I'm gonna switch that around while trying not to drop that in there. And yeah, there's gaskets on it, but that's crazy. All right, so now we have lights now. Now I want you guys down in the comments, because I know electrical issues. Nobody knows everything about electrical issues. The gauge is not reading. Let me know what you guys think that might be. And I'm going to probably start looking at the harnesses that are under the dash. But we also need to verify the harnesses for the flatbed. So the flatbed's another main thing. We need to get that working as well. I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, fix the obvious. We're gonna get these cab lights working, get the marker lights up front working, get everything up front knowing that it works. Alright, all 5 cab lights work. This marker light and bulb and shit, all that works. This one here does not, so we got to get that one replaced. All right, so let me know what you guys think about what you think is going on. I came back to the yard here to kind of like use my truck as an example to see what I think is going on. And it looks like, I guess the 04s have a different style harness than what mine would, or than what that other one did. So you guys will see here, like this is 2 harnesses as opposed to what that truck had. So we're wondering, do you think maybe putting the flatbed down maybe crushed the harness somewhere along the lines? We're gonna have to pull all that aside and go from there. I came out here to the yard to kind of like pick up some stuff that I needed. Still waiting on this thing to get picked up. It is paid for, all the, you know, all that stuff. Well, the majority of, well, the down payment's paid for, but yeah, so just waiting on that getting picked up. This thing, if anybody wants it, I'm just gonna get rid of that, $2 grand, if anybody needs it. And this frame with a title, if anybody needs it, I need to get that out of here as well, to make room for the new trailer, which I have another spot up there for the trailer and shit. I know I haven't done a video in the yard in a while, so I figured I'll ruffle some feathers and come out here and just kind of like film all the bullshit we have. So update you guys kind of on what's going on in the shop. We have 2 or 3 trucks coming in next week, so we gotta figure out the electrical issue on that shit. And morally, I don't feel right charging for every hour that I put into that truck, just because it's just something that I feel bad for doing. I understand like there's a lot of money in fixing all these electrical things and how much money actually goes into it, and time and effort and all that bullshit. So I'm really not charging 100% of my time to do all of the electrical issues that that truck has. So basically all we got to do, you guys can use my truck as an example, we got to make sure that all the taillights in the back work, and we got to make sure the gauges work. Now we fixed a ton of electrical issues it had a lot more than what I initially thought and the owner thought, but it did have a lot of issues. Here's this guy, we're using this as storage. I have a bunch of stuff in here, like all that stuff's going to be going in the new truck once it comes in, and some wheel covers and stuff, because just in case I do end up getting a Dodge that doesn't have them, they're nice to keep around. So that's how kind of everything's going with that. We got a truck that needs to come in for some tuning, so I got a 12 valve that needs tuning. If you guys need your timing and all that stuff adjusted, we charge about 5 hours for AFC tuning, fuel plate modification, and doing the timing to whatever you guys need to. So we got one of them coming in this week, a 2nd gen, and then we have another, the black truck that I did before that I built, that's coming back because I told you guys he was going to want some more work done. So we're going to be bringing that back in. And we do have waste oil. Let me show you guys here. We do have waste oil. These 2 are going in that. This is going to go in a new truck at some point, and then the 5-inch exhaust, we're going to have to figure out some sort of thing with that. He's also picking up the dash and the flares. So those are going. Transmission comes with this thing. We have another light bar coming from Auxbeam, which I will do a video on that. We're going to do some measurements, see if that'll fit on the Dakota. Now mind you guys, it is Sunday. We aren't really doing anything, just kind of bullshitting and going over with some of you guys. I did get a bunch of comments on the whole authority thing. I figured now's a better time than ever to go over it with you guys. So as you guys know, a couple months ago, I got my LLC, my DOT numbers, pretty much everything to get me running except my MC number. Now, you guys know how I run. I don't run very hard out in the hotshot world like I used to. I don't run OTR. I don't do none of that shit. So my insurance with the company that I am leased under right now, that insurance company only does business in Tennessee and Montana. I don't know why, and I'm not going to ask questions. My insurance is $320 a month for full $1 million liability, $100,000 cargo, and it's really, really good insurance. For me to run my authority, it costs like a little over $2,000 because then I have to go to Progressive. So I'm saving almost $2,000 a month by being leased on. I don't do an insane amount of loads, so I get to keep 80% of the loads that I do. So they charge 20% plus that insurance every month. It saves me a shitload of money, especially considering that hotshot is not my main source of income. I do not do it 100%, and it just makes more sense. It makes a lot more sense, and leasing trucks right now makes a lot more sense than owning anything, mainly because I'm not getting my money tied up in the industry, and the industry is absolutely terrible right now. Fuel prices are fluctuating so badly, a lot of people going out of business. It really just doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff, people say, you know, you should own your stuff, you should own this and that, and everything I do own, or everything I have, I do own. I owned my trailer, I owned my truck, like everything I had I owned outright. But here's the problem. You don't own any of the things that you own. All it takes is for one person to either sue you for something, or you to make a mistake, or you not to pay any, like maybe you mess up on your taxes or something, or you mess, like just anywhere. Any of the stuff you own can be taken from you, and I see a lot more people, like especially rich people, owning less and less and putting a lot of their stuff in their company, because at the end of the day, all the stuff you own, you don't really own. They can come take your house, they can take your cars, they can take your trucks, they can take your business. It's a whole big game of Monopoly. It's terrible. So at the end of the day, no, especially here, I don't want to own any business. I don't want to own any property. I don't want to own anything in the state of Pennsylvania either. The taxes here are high as shit. It honestly just makes more sense to keep doing things the way I'm doing. We're making money, we're paying off debt. Every bit of debt that I have had is paid off, minus my repo loan that I had a couple years ago. I voluntarily repoed a truck 2 years ago. That came back to bite me in the ass, and they wanted like $9,300. So now I'm paying $795 a month for the next year to get that paid off, just owning up to it and, you know, paying it. There's no point in me trying to legally fight it. It was a loan I took out. They didn't get much money for the truck when they sold it, and I have to ultimately pay off the rest of the loan. I think there's no point in fighting it. It's just own up to the mistake, pay it. And then the other thing, I have a personal loan, which that I'm not worried about. That's like $300 a month, but that keeps my credit in okay standing. I just paid a loan off the other day and my shit dropped like drastically. Like my score went from in the 600s to now it's in the 500s for some reason. So this whole credit game sucks. I'm great with finances. I'm shitty with credit, and I hate that. So I'm trying to learn the whole credit game and go from there. So we're learning things. We're repairing previous mistakes that were made. And at the end of the day, we're still making money. Nobody can really criticize that. I mean, they do, that's on them. I don't care. A lot of miserable people out here just be miserable to be miserable. Everything's going all right. We're making money. Everything's getting paid off. I'm almost debt free. I'm pretty damn close to it. It's not a lot of money. That'll be paid off. My last payment for the repo loan will be in August of next year. That's my last payment. We've dealt with all the legal shit. All that stuff's out of the way. I have a clean record. Everything is going well. The business is striving. We're doing good. I think I've grossed like $120,000 this year, which is a lot less than I would initially wanted to. But I also had a lot of hurdles. I had a lot of high hopes for this year. And even though I didn't meet or accomplish those goals to the best that I could, I am still doing better off than if I would have said, hey, I can't make those goals, I'm just not going to try. You get a lot further trying and failing than you do by just not trying at all. So keep that in mind. Because, yeah, I think this year, I wanted to double the income that I made this year. It was like $260,000 is what I would have had to make. But all the hurdles and all the bullshit and the way the market went, like the market is friggin', it's terrible. Any of you guys running in this industry, you understand the same thing. I see a lot of owner-operators struggling. You guys are going to be struggling for the longest time. Unless you got a ton of drivers that kind of like make it up for you, you as a single owner-operator, it is very difficult right now. So take that how you will. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in another video. We're not going to be, probably for the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're not going to be doing hotshot content. And then once I get the new truck, we'll come right back into the hotshot content full force. But yeah, so look forward to that. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll go from there. Go check out Mudflap, link in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Later.